Way. Talk to the laptop.
Okay, talk to the laptop. Hi there, good evening. So we've talked a lot about different kinds of tools, and as Grover had pointed out in his last couple slides, that the SERI is really looking at waves and surge, and that it's underestimating some of the damage that we might be seeing because of wind issues. So this is a little switch here. We're looking at a program here that will, A, get stuff on the ground and is a tool that any of us as homeowners can use, and B, it really starts to deal with some of the wind. And so this is called Fortified Home. And I neglected to say that our big partner here really is the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety out of Tampa, Florida. And I'll tell you a little bit more about them. So while this billboard really was talking about the real disasters not being prepared, and I think that we all very much recognize that we need to be prepared for a variety of things. Let it be a snowstorm tomorrow, or let it be a hurricane or a nor'easter in the months to come. And so it's not only enough to look at being prepared and having your kit to evacuate. We're looking at resilience. How can our communities be more resilient? So with that, part of our communities is our buildings. So here, when we talk about a resilient building, we talk about the strengthening of residential dwellings and commercial properties to minimize the destruction of personal property and to minimize the loss of use after a catastrophe. And so this here is a home after Ike in 2008 in the Gulf Coast. And so we very much could see that a home that withstands some of these disasters is going to be not only structurally more resilient, but the family and the community around it, imagine, would be then also more resilient. So we're going to talk today about the Fortified program. So Fortified really is a suite of systematic inspection-based resilience programs developed by the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, or IBHS. IBHS is an association of insurance companies. We're very lucky to have several of our home-based insurance companies, such as Amica, MetLife, Narragansett Bay, Providence Mutual, all part of this association and very active on the board. And I talk about a suite because you'll start to see here that the Fortified program isn't just an ad hoc, what kind of things should I do with my home or my business? It really is a system of techniques to make your home more fortified. And today I am only going to talk about Fortified Home. So the Fortified Home-Hurricane program, which we've been working on here in Rhode Island for around over 2 years at this point, helps homeowners to strengthen their homes against the power of tropical storms and hurricanes. And I use this picture here because we have to remember that any kind of structural programs that we're talking about today can only do certain things as well. We also, in this instance, you also have to trim your trees and watch out because any kind of a structure is only as safe as its environment that surrounds it. So while the Fortified program will certainly help with when trees come down on your house, because you'll see that the roof is a little bit more secure, it still is not the only solution. You have to do more of your whole house, lot, or neighborhood. So let's just remember that. So this week, actually this week, Rhode Island had its first 2 homes certified for Fortified. Dave Caldwell of Caldwell and Johnson has the first Fortified home in New England. And then there's another house, happens to be my house, has the first fortified retrofitted roof. And so we just got notice this week that we got those. And I say the first one's in New England because all of the other fortified fortified houses are in the Gulf Coast and in South Carolina. So this really is the, as they've been telling us, the beachhead for the Northeast. So we're very excited to have it here in Rhode Island, to have it homegrown here in Rhode Island, and to continue to work on this. So here's Dave's house. Actually, this is the house that Dave built, not Dave's house, down on Green Hill Pond. And this is fortified as a gold, and that's the highest standard that you could get, and we'll talk about the difference between gold. This is my roof that was a bronze. And so, and that's only about the roof. And we'll talk a little bit more about why this is a bronze. But one thing to note here is that this is one of the key things about the roofs, is that they are taped so that your sheathing is more solid as one piece so that you can't have leaks in between. That among. So the designation level goes from bronze, silver, and gold. The bronze really is about the roof and the attic ventilation. The silver builds upon that and talks about the openings, the windows here, amongst other openings. And then the gold really is about fortifying the structure. Here you could see hurricane clips up in the corners, and there's a couple of other, the clips really connect the roof to the house. And there's a couple of other elements to that as well. And so you could see that you could just build upon one on top of the other, on top of the other. And for new houses, as Dave pointed out, for the Green Hill house, he said that really many of the elements, most of the elements that are in the Fortified program are already practices that him and other colleagues do. This is a Code Plus program. So Rhode Island Code is a really good code. It follows the International Building Code, but there are still elements to that that are not within the Fortified program. So this really is a Code Plus, but many of our builders, especially those on the South Shore where the winds are highest, are already practicing many of these practices. So it really is some little things that matter here, some little differences. Let it be ring shank nails so that the nails can't come up with a big wind. Let it be taping, as I just pointed out, in between the sheathing, or even the felt that goes underneath the shingles. So these are things that, as I said, many of the builders are already using, and those that aren't, these are small things that once you start to use them, could certainly make your buildings and your homes more resilient. So what's the benefit to this? Well, and we're going to also talk a little bit about the cost. So this here is, IBHS has a facility in South Carolina that is a big wind tunnel. Well, actually they have wind and hail and rain. And so they're like the Consumer Reports of homes and buildings, where instead of testing automobiles, they test houses. So here they had 8 inches of rain. They had wind from several directions. And it's a really awesome video that I decided not to show tonight because of the time, but I'll give you a link to it afterwards. But what you could see here is that the sealed roof deck, all that they did was you could see from one side to the other. So on the right side, you could see that the roof deck was not sealed like I showed you on the other roof. And then they did the wind and the rain. And so what happened here was that there was so much damage of water going into this house that it was approximately 3 times the amount of damage, both to the structure itself as well as to the contents inside. The contents inside on your left, the couch, for instance, only had to be cleaned. On the right, everything had to be replaced within the living room and dining room. So you could start to see that this is a benefit, a great benefit in terms of the costs that you would incur. The other thing is that these people on the left-hand side could get back into their home relatively quickly as opposed to the people on the right-hand side. So the other benefits that, for instance, in Rhode Island, we're starting to look at are, what are the insurance benefits? We've talked to Amica. Amica has a provision within that they've been approved by the Department of Business Regulation that says that a gold house can receive up to approximately 17% off of its annual insurance. That's significant. And especially, as Dave pointed out, it wasn't much more money to add those elements into a new home. On the retrofit home, we're still working with them to see how much they will be reducing that to give win credits. We will be meeting, our team will be meeting with the Department of Business Regulation and getting together the insurance companies here in Rhode Island to see what else they could be doing so that they can give us some input so that we could then share it with the public of lower costs. The other thing, so then some of our builders are saying, well, what's in it for us? And so the builders are saying, what's important to us is time and money. So a discussion has been initiated with the CRMC about what might, at least in CRMC's jurisdiction, what might they be able to do in terms of some incentive programs to get the builders to be promoting this as well. So that's a discussion. Keep in store for that, and Grover or Jim could follow. The challenge that we're seeing, obviously, is that consumers are making decisions with incomplete information. They really don't know if a roof is, if this one or that one is better. So that's something that we need to be looking at, and we can provide some of the fortified information, but how do they know otherwise? Consumers really value things that they could see. You can't see much once the roof is done. So this is a concern, and this is something that we have to try to communicate as well. They want a way to look at alternatives. They want to be able to see, maybe they could see, this is why these houses were done as prototypes. How can we show them what some of the alternatives are, and to really compare costs and benefits? And then finally, builders really want to be trusted. So in this program, we talk about third-party verification. And so the consumer can trust their builder, and then they also have the extra added value of having a third-party evaluator in there to look at this. So speaking of evaluators, we are right now, so there's been, after the Projo and after several articles shared the new designations, we've been getting several calls about people that want to build this, and they want to know who can do the evaluators, who can be the evaluator, how do they get this in their home. And so we right now only have one evaluator out of Massachusetts, so Rhode Island wants its own evaluator. So we are having an evaluator training on February 24th and 25th, and we're looking for some key people. We're looking for around a half a dozen people who really could do what Jeff is doing up there, and counting nails and really looking at what the builders have done, and then working with IBHS for to get that certified. So if you're interested in that, or somebody, please come down to me. I have a couple flyers, and I would love to reach out to them. And then finally, it would be an evaluator, but you're a contractor, you're an engineer, you're a surveyor, you're a realtor, you're an insurer, you are a designer who really wants to know a lot about this so that you can promote this in your projects. We will be having a training on March 10th, and that will be a one-day training, and we would really love to be able to fill this room, actually with half of the room with people who are interested to become Fortified Wise Associates. So with that, to just end this and take maybe a question? Please. Yep. Mm-hmm. So actually, the people that do it are your contractors. So that is, so you can use any contractor you would want, and then they follow, that's what I did. And they follow, there's specific standards that they would follow by. So for the hard part is, for a roof, you would really, I mean, you really need to do it from the inside out. Grover, do you have any thoughts on that in terms of, you really need to, it's when you're redoing your roof where you might, like if you are putting new shingles on your roof, that's when you could do it. The other part is the internal, how you strap the roof to the rest of the house. That's kind of difficult once you already have your house built. Grover, do you have any?
But it is possible. It depends on how expensive you want to get. I mean, they can certainly, for instance, cut the plywood, pull it back, and put fasteners in to tie your rafters down to your top foundation. What they're trying to do is